The son of Satan vows to kill his own father. He enrolls in a holy academy to become an exorcist, only to find his new teacher is his own twin brother. In a world secretly divided between the human realm of Asaya and the demon realm of Gehenna, we meet Rin Okumura. He's a hot-headed but well-meaning teenager, constantly getting into fights, a stark contrast to his studious twin brother, Yukio. They live a seemingly normal life in a monastery, raised by their adoptive father, the priest Shiro Fujimoto. But Rin feels like an outcast, unable to fit in, and completely unaware of the dark secret tied to his very existence. He just wants a job and a normal life, but trouble always seems to find him first. During a disastrous job interview at a supermarket, Rin's world begins to unravel. He notices small soot-like creatures with tiny eyes clinging to people and objects, creatures that no one else can see. His frustration boils over when he's unfairly accused of causing trouble, leading to another fight. He's fired on the spot, left to wonder if he's losing his mind. This strange new vision is the first sign that he is far from ordinary, and that a hidden world of demons is starting to bleed into his own. Outside, Rin sees a little girl being tormented by a demon possessing a bird feeder. When he confronts it, the demon's power surges, and in a desperate act to protect the child, something inside Rin awakens. A torrent of brilliant blue flames erupts from his body, incinerating the demon instantly. Rin stares at his hands, shocked and terrified by the power he just unleashed. He has no explanation for the fire, only the chilling realization that it came from within him. Back at the monastery, Father Fujimoto tends to Rin's wounds. His usual lighthearted demeanor is gone, replaced by grave seriousness. He reveals that the creatures Rin is seeing are demons. Fujimoto leads him to a hidden chamber and points to a sheathed sword, Kurikara. He makes Rin promise to never touch it, warning that it's a dangerous weapon that seals a great power. Rin is left grounded and confused, feeling more isolated than ever as the secrets pile up around him. The next day, Rin is cornered by the bully he fought at the supermarket. But something is wrong. The bully's body contorts, his voice deepens, and he reveals himself to be a demon named Astaroth. He sneers, telling Rin that the demons of Gehenna have been searching for him. Astaroth then drops a devastating truth bomb, grinning maniacally as he declares, "You are the young master, the son of Satan." Rin's world shatters as the unbelievable truth is laid bare. The priests from the monastery arrive, attempting to perform an exorcism, but Astaroth easily swats them aside. Just as the demon closes in on Rin, Father Fujimoto appears, revealing his true identity as a paladin, the highest rank of exorcist. With powerful holy scripture, he creates a barrier and begins to banish Astaroth. He confirms the demon's words, admitting he isn't Rin's real father, but has raised him as his own to protect him from his cursed heritage. Suddenly, a colossal, monstrous gate materializes in the sky, the Gehenna Gate. In his fear and denial, Rin screams at Fujimoto, "Stop acting like you're my father!" The cruel words shatter Fujimoto's concentration, leaving him vulnerable. In that instant, Satan himself possesses the priest's body. Blue flames engulf Fujimoto as Satan, speaking through his mouth, gleefully prepares to drag his long-lost son back to the demon realm through the gate. In a final, heroic act of defiance and love, Fujimoto uses the last of his own will to regain control for a single moment. He stabs himself in the heart to expel Satan from his body. As he collapses, dying, he throws the Kurikara sword to Rin, pleading with him to live on and fight. Consumed by grief and rage, Rin grabs the sword. He unsheathes the blade, breaking the seal. His demonic power explodes outwards in an uncontrollable inferno of blue flame, fully awakening his satanic legacy. In the wreckage of the monastery, Rin mourns over Shiro's body. Just as true cross-order exorcists arrive to contain him, a bizarre figure in a top hat and jester-like attire appears, introducing himself as Mephistopheles. He casually summons a key and opens a portal, stepping out with an unsettling grin. Mephisto, a friend of Shiro's and the head of the Japan branch of the True Cross Order, calmly assesses the situation. He looks at the grieving, flame-wreathed boy and sees not a monster to be destroyed, but an interesting new pawn for his game. Surrounded by a barrier and armed exorcists, Rin is trapped. Mephisto presents him with a chilling ultimatum: be executed now as a demon, or join them. He explains that Rin's very existence is a violation of their laws. Rin clenches his fists, the Kurikara sword resting on his back. He looks at the cold faces of the exorcists, their weapons aimed at him, ready to strike. The choice seems impossible. Death, or joining the very people who hunt his kind and now want him dead. Mephisto watches with amusement, waiting for the boy's decision. Rin's grief turns to white-hot determination. He rejects Mephisto's options and declares his own path. He isn't a human or a demon. He is Rin Okumura. He announces his goal with raw conviction. He will become an exorcist, not just to survive, but to hunt down and defeat Satan himself. The exorcists are stunned into silence by his audacity. Mephisto's smile widens, genuinely intrigued. This is far more entertaining than he expected. He accepts Rin's bold proposition, seeing the immense potential in Satan's son wanting to kill his own father. Mephisto brings Rin to True Cross Academy, a sprawling, magnificent city that serves as the Far East base for the Exorcist Order. Rin stares in awe at the massive Gothic architecture, a world away from the monastery he grew up in. Mephisto explains this is where he will train. He hands Rin a student ID and a cell phone, telling him he is now officially a student at the Exorcist Cram School. For Rin, it's a dizzying transition from a condemned monster to a new student in a place of unimaginable scale and secrecy. Led to his new dorm room, Rin is exhausted, but ready for a fresh start. He opens the door and freezes. Inside, meticulously arranging his books, is his twin brother, Yukio. The reunion is cold and awkward. Yukio, who should be just as shocked, barely spares him a glance, treating him like a stranger. He coldly states the rules of the room, his voice devoid of warmth. Rin is confused and hurt by his brother's distant behavior. The person he thought he knew best is now a complete enigma, adding another layer of isolation to his new life. The next day, Rin attends the cram school entrance ceremony. He looks around at the other aspiring exorcists, feeling completely out of place. The ceremony begins, and the instructor for their class is introduced. Rin's jaw drops. Walking onto the stage is Yukio, wearing the coat of a middle first-class exorcist. His younger, more timid brother is not only an exorcist, but their teacher. The other students whisper in admiration about the genius who passed the exam at only 13. Rin can only stare in disbelief, realizing Shiro kept more than one secret from him. Later, alone in the classroom, Yukio confronts Rin. He reveals the truth. He has known about demons his entire life. While Rin lived in blissful ignorance, Yukio trained relentlessly from the age of 7 to become an exorcist, all to fulfill his secret vow to protect his older brother. The resentment pours out of him, the burden he carried, the pain of seeing Shiro die. To test Rin's resolve, he draws his gun and points it directly at his brother's chest, questioning if Rin truly has what it takes to control his demonic power. Suddenly, the lesson is interrupted as the classroom is swarmed by Koltars, low-level demons. While the other students panic, Yukio springs into action with calm professionalism, firing blessed bullets and chanting incantations. He easily dispatches the creatures, showcasing his years of training. Rin, meanwhile, is powerless. He can't draw his sword without revealing his demonic nature to everyone, so he's forced to just watch, feeling useless. The vast, painful gap between his own raw power and Yukio's disciplined skill is laid bare for him to see. The shock of the previous day gives way to a new reality. Rin sits stunned in his desk as his younger twin, Yukio, stands at the front of the class, not as a student, but as an accomplished instructor in anti-demon pharmacology. Yukio is a natural, his lecture sharp and confident, detailing the weaknesses of ghouls and Koltars. The rest of the class is impressed, but Rin can only stare in disbelief. This isn't the weak, crybaby brother he thought he knew. This is a seasoned exorcist, and he's completely out of his depth. Rin's flippant attitude immediately grates on his classmates, especially the serious and ambitious Ryuji Suguro, nicknamed Bon. When Rin casually declares his goal is to defeat Satan, Bon explodes with rage. He reveals his own temple was destroyed by Satan's Blue Knight, and he can't stand someone treating their shared goal like a joke. The lines are drawn instantly. A fierce rivalry sparks between the son of Satan and the survivor of his wrath. their fists clenched and eyes locked in a challenge. Yukio leads the class to a dilapidated training hall for their first practical exercise, a taming ritual. The vast, decaying room is infested with hundreds of low-level demons called Koltars, small, black, dust-like creatures with glowing red eyes. The task seems simple enough. Survive a few minutes and learn to deal with them. The other students prepare their holy water and scriptures, ready for the test. Rin, however, just grips his sword, feeling a strange energy in the air, completely unaware of the chaos he's about to cause. The moment Rin steps inside, the exercise goes haywire. Every single Koltar in the room ignores the other students and instantly swarms towards him. A swirling vortex of black sprites engulfs Rin, blinding and choking him. He's a beacon, a magnet for demonic energy, and his very presence turns a simple drill into a personal nightmare. The other students can only watch, frozen in shock, as Rin is completely overwhelmed. He tries to fight back, but there are too many, drawn to the demonic power coursing through his veins. As Rin struggles, Yukio calmly addresses the class from the sidelines. He explains that demons are naturally attracted to those with strong demonic power, or those who show fear and weakness. While he doesn't explicitly name Rin as the son of Satan, the implication is crystal clear to everyone present. Rin isn't just failing the exercise, he's a living demonstration of a dangerous principle. He feels a surge of humiliation and frustration, realizing his demonic heritage will be a constant, dangerous burden in this new life. Later that night, back in their dorm room, the tension between the brothers finally boils over. Rin confronts Yukio, demanding to know why he kept his life as an exorcist a secret. He feels betrayed and belittled, treated like a child who needed protecting. He yells, asking if Yukio secretly looked down on him this whole time. Yukio remains calm, his back turned to Rin, letting his brother vent his frustration. The air is thick with years of unspoken feelings, finally bubbling to the surface. Yukio finally turns around, his expression unreadable behind his glasses. He confesses everything. He wasn't gifted with Satan's flames, but he was cursed with the sight to see demons from birth. Terrified, he began training with their father at age 7, desperate to become strong enough to protect his reckless, oblivious older brother. He admits to a deep-seated resentment and jealousy, having to work tirelessly while Rin unknowingly held all the power. "I wanted to protect you," he says, "but I hated you for it." Rin is left speechless. The image of his perfect, studious little brother shatters, replaced by the reality of a boy who carried an immense burden in secret for years. He never knew the fear and resentment Yukio harbored. Yukio raises his fist, not in anger, but in a declaration of a shared goal, to defeat Satan and avenge their father. Rin, humbled and with a new understanding, accepts. Their conflict isn't resolved, but their relationship is forever changed. They are no longer just brothers. They are comrades. Rin struggles in class, completely unable to control his demonic flames. While other students practice their incantations, his attempts end in pathetic fizzles. His brother, Yukio, offers no sympathy, treating him just like any other student by piling on homework and critiques. Frustrated and feeling utterly alone, Rin lashes out, questioning why he's even here. He can't get a handle on his powers or his new life, and the pressure is mounting. The dream of defeating Satan feels impossibly far away when he can't even light a candle correctly. Following Yukio on a new assignment, Rin arrives at a traditional Japanese store, an exorcist supply shop. Inside, they meet a shy, gentle girl named Shiemi Moriyama, who tends to a beautiful enclosed garden. Yukio explains the situation. Shiemi's legs have been afflicted by a mysterious ailment since her grandmother passed away, and she hasn't been able to leave the garden since. Her mother is worried sick, believing a demon is to blame. Rin looks at the girl, surrounded by flowers, and senses a profound and familiar sadness. Yukio examines Shiemi's legs, which are covered in strange, root-like markings. He quickly diagnoses the problem. A demon is latched onto her, feeding on her life force through her feet, which are rooted to the garden soil. He explains that this type of demon preys on emotional weakness. Shiemi's grief over her grandmother's death and her solemn promise to protect the garden forever has created the perfect opening. The demon is not just a parasite. It's intertwined with her heart, using her love as its anchor. While Yukio prepares for the exorcism, Rin sits and talks with Shiemi. She speaks lovingly about her grandmother and the garden, explaining how each plant holds a special memory. Rin listens, recognizing her loneliness and the crushing weight of her promise. He sees that the garden, once a place of comfort, has become her prison. He tells her about his own grandfather, Shiro, sharing his own grief. For the first time, Rin isn't the son of Satan. He's just a guy talking to a girl who desperately needs a friend. Yukio begins the exorcism rites, but his holy water and incantations have no effect. The demon, empowered by Shiemi's resolve to stay, bursts forth from the garden's soil. It's a grotesque plant-like monster with thorny vines that immediately ensnare Shiemi, lifting her into the air. It screeches that she belongs to the garden and will never leave. Yukio is shocked by its power, realizing this is far more serious than he anticipated. Shiemi cries out in fear, her life force draining rapidly. As blue flames erupt from his body, Rin doesn't just attack the demon. He speaks directly to Shiemi's heart. "This garden isn't a memory, it's a cage," he yells over the inferno. "Your grandmother would want you to live, to walk outside again." His words, burning with sincerity, cut through her fear and despair. He's not just fighting the demon with his sword, he's fighting her grief with his words, forcing her to choose a future over a promise that was killing her. Hearing Rin's plea, Shiemi's will to live returns, weakening the demon's hold. With a final focused roar, Rin incinerates the creature, his flames carefully avoiding Shiemi. The monster crumbles to ash, and she falls, caught safely by Rin. Later, she stands shakily, takes a tentative step, and then another, walking out of the garden for the first time in a year. Tears stream down her face as she thanks Rin, not just for saving her, but for freeing her from her self-made prison. Back at the cram school, there's a buzz of anticipation for a new student. The door slides open, and in walks Shiemi, now wearing the academy uniform. Rin beams, thrilled to see his new friend has followed through on her promise to become an exorcist. However, her arrival is met with disdain from the class prodigy, Izumo Kamiki, who immediately mocks her timid nature. Shiemi shrinks back, but a supportive glance from Rin gives her the courage to stand her ground. A new dynamic has just been introduced. The next class is a practical training exercise. Yukio briefs the students. They must retrieve a ghost lantern from a sealed-off section of the academy grounds infested with ghouls. The moment the mission is announced, the tension between Rin and Bon crackles in the air. Bon, ever the diligent student, is already focused and strategizing with his friends, Konekomaru and Shima. Rin just scoffs, confident he can handle anything they throw at him. He sees Bon's seriousness as a challenge, and the rivalry between them is set to explode. As the exercise begins, the students enter a sprawling, dark, and decrepit section of the campus. It feels more like a haunted forest than a training ground. True to form, Rin immediately charges off on his own, ignoring Shiemi's pleas to stay with the group. He's determined to find the lantern first and prove Bon wrong. Meanwhile, Bon leads his own team with calm authority, methodically navigating the terrain and warning his friends about the dangers of ghouls, which are drawn to feelings of anger and resentment. Rin's recklessness quickly lands him in trouble. A ghoul, a grotesque, decaying demon, ambushes him from the shadows. He draws Kurikara, but struggles to fight it effectively without revealing his blue flames. The demon latches onto his anger, growing stronger with every frustrated swing of his sword. He's cornered, realizing that brute force alone isn't enough. His frustration is exactly what the ghoul feeds on, creating a vicious cycle that leaves him exhausted and vulnerable. Elsewhere, Bon's team encounters a similar threat, but their approach is completely different. Bon remains perfectly calm, unfurling a scroll and beginning to chant a powerful aria. He recites holy scriptures that act as a barrier, weakening and repelling the ghoul without a single physical blow. His friends provide support, their teamwork flawless. It's a demonstration of pure skill and knowledge, the complete opposite of Rin's chaotic brawl. Bon proves he's not just serious, he's incredibly competent. Eventually, the two groups cross paths, and the simmering animosity boils over. Bon immediately criticizes Rin for running off and fighting like a wild animal. "What's your goal, huh?" he demands. "You think you can become an exorcist with just a sword and a bad attitude?" Rin, already on edge from his fight, snaps back, accusing Bon of being a boring, by-the-book coward. Their argument escalates, their voices echoing through the dark ruins, drawing unwanted attention. Pushed to his limit, Bon finally reveals the source of his intense drive. He tells Rin that his home, a historic temple, was destroyed 16 years ago during the Blue Night, the same night Satan massacred thousands of exorcists. His family was disgraced and his father driven mad. Bon's single-minded goal is to defeat Satan himself and restore his family's honor. The confession hangs in the air, stunning Rin into silence. He's staring at someone whose life was also ruined by his own father. The raw emotion of their argument acts like a beacon. A massive ghoul, far larger and more powerful than the others, erupts from the darkness, drawn to their rage and despair. It lunges at Konekomaru, who freezes in terror. The students' infighting has put them all in grave danger. Panic sets in as they realize their petty squabbles have created a threat none of them can handle alone. Their training exercise has just become a genuine fight for survival. With Konekomaru in the ghoul's grasp, Rin and Bon are forced to act. Setting aside their anger, they instinctively work together. Bon, using his strategic mind, shouts instructions, identifying the ghoul's weak points. Rin, using his strength and speed, acts as the perfect distraction, drawing the creature's attention and creating an opening. For a brief moment, they are perfectly in sync. Their combined effort is just enough to stun the ghoul and save their friend, forging a moment of grudging respect between the two rivals. In the dorm kitchen, Rin tries to make breakfast, but his inexperience is the least of his problems. The moment he tries to light the stove, his demonic nature takes over. Uncontrollable blue flames erupt from his hands, instantly incinerating the frying pan and its contents into a cloud of black smoke. Yukio walks in, sighing at the charred mess. He calmly explains that Rin's power is too raw and destructive for a delicate task like cooking. Rin stares at his hands, frustrated that the very power he needs to become an exorcist makes him useless at simple, everyday things. Suddenly, Mephistopheles appears, casually slurping instant noodles. With a theatrical flair, he presents Rin with a challenge. He reveals the kitchen is haunted by a high-class demon, a phantom chef named Ukobak, who only serves those it deems worthy. Mephisto's deal is simple. If Rin can cook a meal that satisfies this demonic gourmand, Ukobak will become his servant. Seeing a chance to both practice his flame control and get a personal chef, Rin eagerly accepts the bizarre mission, his determination renewed. Armed with fresh ingredients for sukiyaki, Rin makes another attempt. He concentrates, trying to will his flames to be gentle, but the result is the same. The moment he ignites the burner, a massive pillar of blue fire shoots up, turning his carefully prepared vegetables and meat to ash in seconds. He slams his fist on the counter, growling in frustration. He realizes that simply trying to hold back his power isn't working. It's like trying to tame a wildfire with his bare hands. He needs a completely different approach. Yukio returns late from an exorcist mission, looking drained but observant. He sees Rin's repeated failures and offers a crucial piece of advice. He explains that demonic power responds to intent. Instead of focusing on suppressing the flame, Rin should focus on the purpose of the flame. Don't think about controlling the fire, Yukio says. Think about cooking the food. This simple shift in perspective gives Rin a new path forward, a key to unlocking control that he hadn't considered before. Taking Yukio's words to heart, Rin closes his eyes. He doesn't think about the fire or his demonic heritage. Instead, he pictures the final dish, a perfectly simmered pot of sukiyaki. He focuses on the aroma, the savory taste, and the feeling of sharing a meal with his brother, just like their father Shiro used to do for them. He channels all his will, not into suppression, but into creation. His entire being is now focused on one simple, heartfelt goal: to cook a delicious meal. Rin takes a deep breath and gently places his hand over the stove. This time, there is no explosion. A small, controlled blue flame appears, flickering serenely beneath the pot. It's a perfect cooking flame, steady and gentle. With newfound confidence, Rin carefully adds the ingredients, watching as they begin to simmer perfectly without a hint of burning. He smiles, realizing he's finally managed to tame his power, not through force, but through purpose and heart. As the rich aroma of the finished sukiyaki fills the air, steam billows from the pot. A small, strange figure materializes within it, a tiny imp-like demon wearing a chef's hat and carrying a miniature kitchen knife. This is Ukobak. The phantom chef silently inspects the meal, its expression unreadable. Rin nervously offers it a bowl. Ukobak takes a small, hesitant bite, its large eyes closing as it thoughtfully chews, the entire kitchen holding its breath. After a tense moment of silence, Ukobak's face breaks into a look of pure satisfaction. It gives a decisive nod of approval. The phantom chef has been won over. The tiny demon bows to Rin, officially pledging its loyalty and service as his familiar. From this day forward, Ukobak will handle all the cooking for the Okumura brothers. Rin cheers in triumph, having not only gained control over his flames, but also a new friend and a 5-star personal chef. The Exorcist candidates arrive deep in the forest for a week-long boot camp. Yukio, their instructor, lays out the final exam. Venture into a demon-infested area, find a specific lantern, and bring it back lit within 3 days. Failure means expulsion. The students, including Rin, Bon, and Shimi, exchange nervous glances. The mission is simple on paper, but the atmosphere is thick with tension. They are told to work together, but rivalries and anxieties are already bubbling to the surface as they prepare to step into the dark woods, unaware of the powerful eyes already watching them. As the group sets off, Shiemi is consumed by self-doubt. She feels like a burden, unable to contribute anything useful compared to the others. Desperate to prove her worth and help her friends, she focuses intently, trying to summon her green man familiar, Ni. But her confidence wavers, and the summoning is weak and ineffective. Frustration mounts as she watches Rin and the others forge ahead, feeling more useless than ever. She clenches her fists, vowing to herself that she won't let them down again. Unaware, her resolve is about to be tested in the most terrifying way imaginable. Suddenly, a strange figure drops from the trees, landing silently before them. He's a boy with a green sprout of hair and a vacant, playful smile. He introduces himself as a Maiman, the king of Earth, and casually mentions he's here to greet his younger brother. The students freeze, confused and terrified. A Maiman's demeanor is disarmingly casual, but an immense, suffocating pressure radiates from him. He pokes and prods at Rin, treating the entire situation like a game. Rin instantly recognizes the danger, his hand inching towards the hilt of his sword, Kurikara. Provoked by a Maimon's taunts and his casual threat to his friends, Rin can't hold back any longer. He draws his blade, and explosive blue flames erupt around him. "Stay out of this!" he yells at the others as he charges. But the fight is completely one-sided. A Maimon, the king of Earth, treats it like a dance, effortlessly dodging Rin's furious slashes and countering with devastating blows that send him flying. Rin is completely outmatched, his raw power useless against a Maimon's overwhelming strength and experience. He's getting battered, and his frustration is boiling into pure rage. Seeing Rin being beaten senseless, Shiemi panics. Pushing past her fear, she successfully summons her green man, Ni. The familiar sprouts giant, thorny vines from the ground, creating a protective wall around Rin. A Maimon stops, momentarily intrigued by her tamer abilities. He finds her interesting. With a flick of his wrist, he shatters the vine wall and instantly appears before Shiemi, grabbing her by the neck and lifting her into the air. "You're a tamer? How fun," he says with a chilling smile, his attention now fully on his new toy. The sight of Shiemi in danger, helpless in a Maimon's grasp, shatters the last of Rin's control. A guttural roar escapes him as his humanity recedes. The blue flames explode outwards in a torrential, uncontrolled inferno, scorching the forest around him. His eyes glow with demonic fury, his features sharpening. He's no longer thinking, no longer holding back. There is only rage and the primal instinct to destroy the one who hurt his friend. The other students can only watch in horror as Rin transforms into a true demon before their very eyes. Just as Rin's demonic power reaches its peak, a new figure flashes into the fight. It's their other instructor, revealing her true identity, Shura Kirigakure, an upper first-class exorcist. With blinding speed, she appears behind the rampaging Rin, her own demonic sword drawn. She recites a powerful incantation, slamming the hilt of her blade into a specific point on Rin's chest. The effect is immediate. The raging blue flames are instantly suppressed, vanishing back into his body. Rin collapses, unconscious, his transformation reversed just as quickly as it began. With Rin neutralized, a Maimon loses interest. I've seen enough for today, he declares with a yawn, and vanishes, leaving a stunned and terrified group of students behind. Shura stands over Rin's unconscious body, her expression grim. She looks at his sealed sword, Korikara, and mutters to herself about a promise she made to his late father, Shiro. She was sent here to watch him, and if he ever became a threat, her orders were clear. Eliminate the son of Satan. Her arrival marks a new, dangerous chapter for Rin. The battle is over, but the real fight is just beginning. Rin lies pinned under the blade of Shura Kirigakure, the mysterious exorcist who neutralized him. She addresses Yukio and Mephisto, revealing her true purpose. She's a senior inspector first class from the Vatican, sent by Shiro Fujimoto himself. Her mission was to investigate a potential threat linked to the monastery, and she just found it. Before the shocked eyes of Rin's classmates, she declares his identity to the world. He is the son of Satan. The secret is out, and the fear in everyone's eyes is palpable. Shura explains her deep connection to Rin's past. She was Shiro Fujimoto's apprentice, and he entrusted her with a grave final order. She brandishes a letter from the late paladin, its contents a chilling ultimatum. If Rin's heart was consumed by his demonic nature, and he proved to be a monster rather than a weapon, she was to kill him without hesitation. Her arrival wasn't a rescue, it was a judgment. Now she must decide if Rin is the weapon Shiro hoped he could be, or the catastrophe he feared. Rin is transported to the headquarters of the True Cross Order for an immediate tribunal. In a vast, intimidating chamber, he stands alone before the Grigori, the highest council of the order, their faces masked and their voices echoing with authority. They debate his fate with cold logic. To them, he is not a boy. He is a contamination, a living gate to Gehenna that must be sealed. The verdict seems all but decided. Execution. The full weight of the exorcist world is crashing down on Rin, and he has nowhere to run. Meanwhile, the cram school students are left to grapple with the shocking truth. The group is completely fractured. For Bon, whose entire life was defined by the destruction caused by Satan's blue flames, Rin is now the embodiment of his deepest hatred and fear. Konokomaru and Shima are terrified, seeing him as a monster in their midst. Only Shiemi seems more worried for Rin than afraid of him, but her quiet concern is drowned out by the overwhelming hostility. The fragile bonds of friendship have been shattered by the revelation of Rin's demonic heritage. Facing his potential execution, Rin's fear gives way to defiance. He screams at the council, declaring that he's not their enemy. He insists he's going to become an exorcist, not to serve his demonic father, but to kick his ass. Yukio steps forward, risking his own career to defend his brother. He attests to Rin's human heart and his unwavering determination to fight for humanity. He begs the council to see the person, not just the lineage, pleading for a chance for Rin to prove himself.
Just as all hope seems lost, Mephistopheles makes his grand entrance. With a theatrical flourish, he interrupts the proceedings, arguing that executing Rin would be a foolish waste of a priceless asset. He proposes a wager. Let Rin live and train under the Order's supervision. If he can learn to control his flames, he becomes their ultimate weapon against Satan. If he fails, they can execute him then. It's a high-stakes gamble, framing Rin's life as a strategic play in the war against Gehenna. Swayed by Mephisto's charismatic logic and undeniable authority, the council reluctantly agrees to his terms. Rin's life is spared, but on a knife's edge. To ensure he is properly controlled, they assign Shura as his personal mentor. Her mission is no longer to judge him, but to train him to wield the Kurikara sword and master its sealed demonic power. Looking down at Rin, she bluntly tells him he's now her responsibility, and she will be going easy on him. His real training is about to begin. Though he escaped execution, Rin returns to a world that is turned against him. When he approaches his classmates, they flinch away. Bon glares at him with pure hatred, while others can't even meet his eyes. Their fear is a wall he can't break through. The camaraderie they had started to build is gone, replaced by suspicion and mistrust. Spared by his enemies, but rejected by his friends, Rin has never felt more alone. The victory in the courtroom feels hollow in the face of this new, painful isolation. The air in the classroom is thick with fear. Rin tries to approach his friends,
but they flinch away as if he's contagious. Bon glares with pure animosity. Shiemi can't even meet his eyes, and Konakamaru visibly trembles behind his friends. The cheerful classroom they once shared has become a silent courtroom where Rin has already been judged. His attempts at a normal conversation are met with a wall of terrified silence. He is completely and utterly alone, an outcast among the very people he swore to protect.
Shura begins Rin's training in a dark, cavernous chamber. It's not about combat, but control. She places 2 unlit candles before him. The task sounds simple. Light the wicks with his demonic flames. But there's a catch. He must do it without melting the candles themselves. If you can't even manage this, she smirks, you're no better than a walking natural disaster. The challenge is set. It's a test of pure intent, forcing Rin to tame the inferno raging within him into a delicate, precise spark. Frustration mounts as Rin fails again and again. Each time he draws his sword, Kurikara, an uncontrollable torrent of blue fire erupts, instantly incinerating the candles into black dust. He growls in anger, slamming his fist on the ground. "It's impossible!" he yells. Shura simply leans against a pillar, unimpressed. "Your heart is a mess," she tells him coolly. "Your flames just reflect that. Get a grip, or you'll never control it." Her harsh words hit their mark, forcing Rin to realize that this battle is more mental than physical. As Rin struggles, his mind drifts to the past. He sees a memory of Father Fujimoto, years ago, arguing with Mephisto. Fujimoto holds the infant Rin, who is crying and wreathed in tiny blue flames. The Exorcist Council had ordered the child's death, but Fujimoto refused. He saw not a demon, but a helpless baby. In this vision, Rin witnesses the moment his adoptive father made the ultimate vow, to seal Rin's power within the Kurikara sword and raise him as a human, defying the entire world to give him a chance at life. Back in the present, Yukio tries to maintain a sense of normalcy by assigning a mission to hunt a ghost. He begins to form teams, but when he pairs Rin with Bon and the others, the tension snaps. Bon stands up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "I refuse to work with him," he declares, his voice cold and resolute. "I'm here to kill demons, not team up with one." Konekomaru and Shiemi remain silent, their lack of protest a clear agreement. Rin is officially exiled from the group. Konekomaru's fear begins to consume him. Walking alone down a dimly lit hallway, the shadows play tricks on his mind. He sees Rin's silhouette at the end of the hall, but it morphs into a monstrous version of him, with glowing red eyes, a fanged grin, and blue flames licking at his feet. The illusion whispers his name, and Konekomaru freezes in pure terror. His past trauma from the Blue Night, combined with Rin's true identity, has created a personal demon that haunts his every step, making him vulnerable. A real demon, a slimy ghoul, is drawn to the scent of Konekomaru's overwhelming fear. It materializes from the shadows, lunging at the terrified boy. Just as its claws are about to strike, Rin appears, having followed his classmate out of concern. He draws Kurikara, and the familiar blue glow fills the hall. But instead of feeling relief, Konekomaru screams even louder. "Stay away from me!" he shrieks, his mind unable to distinguish between the real monster and the boy he now sees as one. Ignoring Konekomaru's terrified screams, Rin closes his eyes and focuses. He remembers Shura's words about intent. He doesn't need an inferno, just a spark. He slides Kurikara's blade from its sheath, just a single inch, and with a flick of his wrist, he launches a tiny, controlled bead of blue fire. The flame zips past Konekomaru, striking the ghoul directly. The demon shrieks and dissolves into ash. The attack was precise, powerful, and harmless to the person he was protecting. It's the first real step in mastering his power. The episode opens on Konekomaru, haunted by nightmares. He sees the terrifying blue flames of the Blue Night, the inferno that destroyed his family's temple. But now they merge with the image of Rin's own demonic power. The trauma is fresh, and his fear is palpable. In the hallways of the academy, he physically flinches away from Rin, his eyes wide with terror. He can't separate his friend from the monster he sees in his dreams. Rin notices the rejection, a fresh sting of isolation, but doesn't know how to bridge the gap created by Konekomaru's deep-seated fear.
Shura bursts into the classroom with a new mission. A powerful demon, a kite Sith, is on a violent rampage near the Academy's southern cross gate. She explains it was once a deity of the local area, but something has set it off. The students are tasked with subduing it. As they prepare their gear, the tension is thick. While Bon and Shima maintain a tense distance from Rin, Koneko Maru can barely look at him. This isn't just a training exercise anymore. They're a broken team heading into a real fight, and their fractured trust is their greatest weakness. Arriving on the scene, the Exorcists find chaos. A colossal, two-tailed black cat demon, Kuro, is perched atop the massive gate, roaring in fury. He's easily the size of a small bus, his yellow eyes blazing with rage and grief. He swats away Exorcist patrols like flies, sending cars and debris flying. The students are stunned by the sheer scale of his power. This is no mere ghoul. This is an ancient, powerful being consumed by sorrow, and their standard tactics are clearly useless against him. An older exorcist explains the situation to Yukio. The demon's name is Kuro, and he was the familiar of the late paladin, Shiro Fujimoto. For centuries, he faithfully guarded this gate, believing he was still serving his master. But recently, other demons taunted him with the news of Shiro's death. Unable to accept the truth, his grief shattered his mind and turned into a destructive rage. He feels abandoned and betrayed, lashing out at the world that took his beloved master from him. He isn't evil. He's heartbroken. The Exorcist's assault begins. They fire high-potency tranquilizer rounds and attempt to erect barriers. But Kuro's rage-fueled power is immense. He smashes through their defenses and shrugs off the sedatives as if they were mosquito bites. He's a whirlwind of claws and fury, his roars echoing his profound sadness. It becomes clear to everyone that fighting him with force is pointless. Every attack only seems to deepen his sorrow and intensify his rampage, pushing him further into the abyss of his grief. Hearing that Kuro belonged to his adoptive father, something clicks for Rin. He watches the futile attacks and sees not a monster, but a grieving friend. Ignoring Yukio's frantic calls to stay back, Rin dashes forward. He won't let them harm his father's loyal companion. He looks up at the raging demon with pure empathy, recognizing the same pain of loss that has haunted him since Shiro's death. He shouts Kuro's name, his voice cutting through the sounds of battle, determined to reach him. To get Kuro's attention, Rin leaps onto the gate and delivers a solid punch to the giant cat's face. The shock of the blow momentarily stuns the beast. Staring into his eyes, Rin yells, "I'm Shiro Fujimoto's son!" He doesn't draw his sword or ignite his flames. Instead, he speaks to Kuro's heart. "He's gone," Rin says, his own voice cracking with emotion. "It's okay to be sad. I was sad too. I cried my eyes out." His words are a simple, raw truth, a shared moment of grief between two souls who loved the same man. Rin's empathy shatters Kuro's rage. The giant demon stops fighting, and huge tears stream from his yellow eyes. The truth he'd been fighting so hard against finally washes over him. As he weeps, his colossal form shrinks, his anger dissolving away until he's just a small two-tailed cat whimpering at Rin's feet. Rin kneels down and gently strokes his head. He offers him a new purpose, a new family. "Be my familiar, Kuro," he asks. The cat nuzzles into his hand, accepting the offer and finding solace in his new master. The class is assigned a new mission: investigate a kraken demon at a seaside resort. Mephisto frames it as a fun beach trip, but the tension is palpable. Rin tries to act normal, but his classmates, especially Bon, keep their distance. Shiemi looks on with worry, while Izumo scoffs, proclaiming she can handle any threat herself. The mission is supposed to be about teamwork, but the team feels more fractured and hostile than ever, with the weight of Rin's secret still hanging heavy in the air. On the sandy shore, the group's dysfunction is on full display. Izumo relentlessly mocks Shiemi for her perceived weakness, telling her she's just dead weight. Hurt, Shiemi tries to stand up for herself, but falters, clutching the pouch with her familiar seed. Her resolve hardens. She's determined to prove she can be useful, not just for herself, but to protect the very people pushing her away. Yukio watches with concern, knowing this division could prove fatal in a real fight. Suddenly, the calm sea erupts. A monstrous shape rises from the depths, the Kraken. It's a colossal demon, its dozens of eyes glowing with malevolent red light. Giant tentacles whip through the air, smashing into the pier and sending splinters flying everywhere. The students scramble for their weapons, their petty squabbles immediately forgotten in the face of sheer terror. This isn't a training exercise anymore. It's a fight for survival against a true deep-sea horror that dwarfs them all. Yukio immediately takes command, his twin pistols barking as he targets the Kraken's eyes. "Aim for the head! That's its only weak point!" he shouts. Bon and Shima unleash their incantations, launching holy flames and verses, but their attacks barely singe the creature's tough hide. The demon is simply too massive, too powerful. It retaliates with a casual sweep of a tentacle, sending the students diving for cover. Their individual efforts are completely useless against this overwhelming foe.
"Out of my way!" Izumo shouts, pushing past the others in a fit of pride. She performs her summoning ritual, calling forth her twin fox familiars. "Show them what a real tamer can do!" The foxes leap bravely towards the Kraken, but they are hopelessly outmatched. With a flick of a single tentacle, the demon swats them out of the air, dispelling them instantly. Before Izumo can react, another tentacle wraps around her waist, hoisting her screaming into the air towards the monster's maw. Watching Izumo get captured, something inside Shiemi snaps. All her fear and self-doubt are burned away by a single, desperate thought. "I have to save her!" She pulls out her familiar seed, her voice clear and strong as she chants the summoning words. A small sprout, Ni, emerges, but this time is different. Fueled by Shiemi's desperate will to protect her friend, Ni begins to grow at an explosive rate, transforming from a tiny sprout into a colossal plant golem. Ni, now a towering giant of wood and vine, lets out a silent roar. Its massive vine-covered arms shoot out from the shore, wrapping around the Kraken's thrashing tentacles with crushing force. The sea demon struggles, trying to break free, but Shiemi's familiar holds it fast, its roots digging deep into the seabed for leverage. Shiemi, pouring all her energy into the summoning, stumbles but holds her ground. She has successfully immobilized the beast, creating the opening they desperately needed. "Now, Rin!" Yukio yells. Rin doesn't hesitate. With the Kraken restrained, he draws his sword, Kurikara. Blue flames erupt around him, not with chaotic rage, but with focused intent. He leaps high into the air, bringing the blade down in a devastating arc. "Get out of here!" he roars, channeling his power into a single massive wave of fire. The blade slices clean through the Kraken's head, and the demon dissolves into nothingness. The team, for the first time in a long time, stands together in victory. A moment of peace settles over the X-Wires as they enjoy a local festival. After the intense battle with the Kraken, the simple joy of winning prizes and sharing laughs feels like a world away from their duties. Shiemi, clutching a prize she won, smiles brightly, the warm glow of the festival lanterns reflecting in her eyes. For a brief instant, they are just normal teenagers, their recent fears and mistrust seemingly forgotten. But this fragile peace is built on a secret that is about to be violently dragged back into the light, as a menacing presence watches them from the shadows. The festive atmosphere shatters with the sudden arrival of Amaimon, the king of Earth. He appears without warning, his playful, unsettling grin sending a wave of panic through the crowd. His eyes, however, are locked on one person, Shiemi. Ignoring everyone else, he approaches her, his casual demeanor belying a terrifying intent. He remarks on how interesting humans are, but his words are a clear provocation aimed directly at Rin. The other X-Wires instinctively draw back, recognizing the immense, hostile power radiating from Rin's demonic brother. The game has begun. In a blur of motion, Amaimon snatches Shiemi, his grip unbreakable. He mocks Rin, telling him to come and get her if he can. Shura immediately orders Rin to stand down, shouting that it's a trap designed to make him lose control. But Rin can only see his friend, terrified and helpless in the arms of the monster who threatened them all before. Rage, hot and blinding, eclipses all reason. His knuckles turn white around the hilt of his sword, Kurikara, as Amaimon vanishes with Shiemi into the darkness, his laughter echoing behind them. Ignoring Shura's desperate commands, Rin makes his choice. The familiar blue flames erupt in his eyes, a sign of his demonic power and his unbreakable resolve. "I don't care if it's a trap," he growls, his voice low and dangerous. "I'm getting her back." With a sharp cry, he unsheathes Kurikara, and the world is engulfed in a torrent of blue fire as he unleashes his demonic nature.
He is no longer a student or an ex-wire in training. He is a brother on a warpath, sprinting after a Maimon with only one thought in his mind: saving his friend. The remaining ex-wires are frozen, caught between the Order's rules and their loyalty to their friends. But it's Ryuji Bon Suguro who breaks the silence. Looking at the path Rin took, he clenches his fist. He declares that they're not just classmates, they're a team, and they don't abandon each other. This is the moment their fractured trust is truly healed. One by one, Konikomaru, Shima, and Izumo agree. They are no longer afraid of Rin's flames. They are afraid of losing one of their own. Together, they run to back him up, choosing friendship over fear. Rin confronts a Maimon in a clearing, the Demon King casually holding a terrified Shiemi. The fight is brutal and one-sided. Fueled by raw fury, Rin's attacks are wild and unfocused, and a Maimon toys with him, easily deflecting his blows. The Demon King pushes him, taunting him about his weakness and his heritage. Under the onslaught, Rin's control begins to fray. The blue flames surrounding him grow larger, more chaotic, threatening to swallow his consciousness entirely. He's losing himself to the very power he needs to win. Just as Rin is about to be consumed by his own demonic power, his friends arrive, but they don't attack. Instead, Ryuji yells at him, not with fear, but with frustration and faith. He reminds Rin of his goal, of his promise to defeat Satan. Konekomaru and Shima join in, shouting for him to get a grip and control his power. Their voices, filled with trust, cut through the roaring inferno in his mind. They aren't scared of the demon. They are calling out to their friend, Rin Okumura, pulling him back from the abyss. Their words reach him. In a flash of clarity, Rin remembers who he is. He is the son of Satan, but he is also the student, the friend, the person Father Fujimoto raised. With a final, powerful roar, he forces the flames back under his command. The chaotic inferno condenses, focusing into a pure, controlled power. He looks at a Maimon, his eyes clear and calm, and declares his identity. In a single, overwhelming strike, he defeats his brother, saving Shiemi. As Mephisto appears to clean up the mess, the X-Wires stand together, no longer fractured by secrets, but united as one. And that's the story of how Rin Okumura and his friends became a true team. Thank you so much for watching this journey on Top Screen Tales. If you enjoyed it, leaving a like or a comment really helps the channel grow. For the next video, I'd love to hear your suggestions. What film, anime, or series should I cover next?